All right, what's up, my brothers? In this video, I want to deal with the cold hard truth around your struggles as a guy. I've often said to you guys that women don't care about your struggles. They'll hang out at the finish line and they'll pick the winner. I have a video here that I want to share you to add some context, but there is a silver lining, which I'll get to towards the end, which I'll explain, especially if you're married or living common law. There is an actual advantage to this issue that men often deal with the gals. All right, so let's have a listen here and then we'll add some context.
I'm a little bit afraid that I have developed a sense of feeling like I am better than my husband over the course of our relationship. And this has recently come out in one of our fights just the other day. That's why I called. So for the background information, we've been married for 3 years. We've been together for about 8 years. We met at college. And I finished with a 4 years degree in chemistry, and he tried to do a 4 years in mechanical engineering, and he struggled through that pretty badly. So the first 4 years of our relationship were that of him having a hard time getting through that coursework and just trying to finish. And after about 4.5 years of that, he wasn't able to finish. It just wasn't going to happen. So he dropped out, which was really hard for him. And then we got married shortly after that. And since then, we've had a string of jobs for him that haven't really been working out. He's not very happy at any of these jobs. And now he's working part-time and doing a program online. And it looks like he's found something that he really loves, which is great. But it's a hard industry to get into. And it might take a long time for something stable to come out of it. So I have been having these recurring feelings of back when we were kind of in college of, oh, this isn't going to work. And in the most recent fight, I told him I don't like his work ethic. And that seemed to really hurt him. And I probably said it a little meaner than that.
Probably.
Right.
How did you say it? What did you say?
Well, I told him since our entire relationship, this has just been happening over and over again, and it's because of your work ethic. But
Hold on.
Really,
what you said is true and honest, and I'm proud of you for saying that.
Okay.
You're not crazy.
I feel mean saying it, though. I mean, I don't know. I've wanted to build his confidence and self-esteem.
You can only build confidence and esteem through doing the thing.
Yeah.
And he knows that you haven't respected him for a long time.
Right.
And so saying it out loud is a relief. Did he like it? No. Did you feel good saying it? No. But was it true? Yes.
All right, well, I've said before as well that contempt is the clock that ticks down to the end of a relationship. And whenever you hear contempt between a couple, regardless of whether they're dating or married or whatever it happens to be, rest assured, it's like an hourglass and the sands are falling through the hourglass towards the end of that relationship. It always inevitably ends that way at some point. The thing about women that you got to understand, guys and even gals out there watching this, is that they're hypergamous. So they want to be with a man that is a giant. They want to look up to a guy. They want to adore him. There's always the adored and the adorer in every relationship, and women do not want to look down to a guy. They want to look up to a giant. I've said this many times as well. So again, you know, women don't care about your struggles as a man. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winner, and that's just the way that it is, and that's okay as long as you're the winner. If you're not the winner in life, if you're not the winner in the relationship, then you're going to have problems at some point, and she's going to be dissatisfied. She's going to express contempt. She's going to make statements that are going to upset you as a guy. They might be demeaning, they might be emasculating, any number of those things, you know, piling up, which, I mean, you're not going to enjoy it. Men have always been expected to go out there and do something with themselves, go out there and put some kind of a dent in the universe, to solve problems, to develop skills, to be competent, to be resourceful, to know how to make it rain and make money and solve problems and all these sorts of things. There's a long list of demands that women have for men, especially in relationships. There's less so with short-term relationships with women. All you have to do is look hot. You don't have to be successful in short-term relationships with women. You just have to look good. You have to look like a stud. So back to this conundrum of women not caring about men's struggles. What do you do about it? Well, there's not much you can do about it if you're in a long-term relationship aside from win. You know, I've said this many, many times to guys that you cannot relax in a long-term relationship, a marriage, whatever it is, however it is that you structured your life with a gal, you don't have the ability to put your feet up, relax, and just cruise. A lot of guys would like to. I remember I had a conversation at my 1% forum earlier last year, and we had a Major League Baseball athlete speaking, and he was telling us that, you know, after he had retired and he had multiple homes in multiple countries, kids were in private school, you know, married a Playboy Playmate sort of thing, and had what most on the outside would look in and say, you know, awesome, great life, he's accomplished a lot. But when he had retired and stopped playing professional baseball and put his feet up and wanted to take a nap on the couch, he recalled a story where, you know, the wife came out and said, "What are you doing? Taking a nap?" And he's like, "I'm taking a nap. You know, I've accomplished all of this. Look at all the trophies, the rings, the kids are in private school, everything's paid for. I'm allowed to take a nap." So there's a little bit of pushback, and I guess in, you know, environments like that, you can push back a little bit. But for most guys, and I think it happens more often now because women don't always get their first choice. You know, I've said this as well many times too, is women don't usually marry their first choice. They often end up having to settle for the guy that wants them, or the number one guy that they want generally doesn't want to settle down with them or to resign to a committed relationship with her. It just doesn't usually go that way. So women often settle with their third, fourth, fifth choice, usually not the first or second, you know, at the very least. So that's just how it goes. But the silver lining, let's get to the silver lining, the good news in this bad news story that most men are probably shaking their head going, yeah, you know, why are women so shallow, blah, blah, blah. It's in human nature, guys. Look, you go back 1,000, 2,000 years, if women didn't mate select a resourceful, competent man, it could have spelled a certain doom for her and the children. So I think it's just a function of adaptation. It's a function of her hardwiring. And even though we've evolved since then, and men and women stand on their own feet most of these days, women more so than men anyway, you know, is what you hear. You hear more complaining from women about guys not pulling their weight. And she said something about work ethic. You'll hear things about lazy, in and around those words. But the good news, the silver lining for guys is because family law punishes the spouse that makes more money in a divorce. So if she were to want to untie the knot, and this doesn't often happen, by the way, women don't usually get divorced from a bum or a loser that doesn't hold down a job or isn't competent, able to make some serious money and do something with themselves. They generally just don't do that. But in some circumstances, they end up in a situation where they have gotten into a matrimonial situation where the guy has stopped chasing excellence. Maybe he's become depressed, has some anxiety issues, whatever it may be. And she says, fine, I'm going to go untie the knot. And she finds out how hostile divorce law is against women, which is rare. And, you know, the interesting thing about that is in scenarios where women are required to pay men, because it's always the better off spouse that has to equalize payments to the less well-off spouse. Usually in most scenarios, it's Becky the hairdresser marries Kevin the VP of sales. She stays home for several years, raises the kids. After 7 to 10 years, you know, the 2.1 kid, she's like, I want to untie the knot and get out. He has to maintain her life. She doesn't go back to the hairdresser lifestyle. He has to maintain her life at the lifestyle that she's enjoyed during the 10 years of the marriage, which is what would happen to this lady if she were to untie the knot. So the silver lining in situations like this, guys, and you know, you can plan or strategize for this however you want. It's entirely up to you. But the silver lining is, should she initiate the process of untying the knot and want to get divorced from this guy, she's probably going to have to maintain him. But like I said before, in situations like that, men are unlikely to want to accept the alimony payments, the maintenance payments, whatever you want to call it, wherever you happen to live. In situations like that, men are less likely to accept the money out of pride, if I can put it that way. Whereas when you flip the roles and women divorce men that are better off than they are, Kevin the VP from sales with the hairdresser, in scenarios like that, well, they always take the money. And they take as much money as they possibly can. So you do with that information what you want, gents, but there is a silver lining in these stories. Figure out the best way to manage and structure your life and plan an appropriate strategy, if I can put it that way. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you are planning on untying the knot, I do have a course called The Unplugged Alpha's Guide to Divorce. It's one of the things I talked about in my book as well. But the course itself helps you plan and strategize it so that you minimize the damage and the potential alienation from your kids. And again, it's mostly guys that have to suffer through this, but this would also work for gals too. But check that out in the top pinned comment. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. You've ever experienced this? Have an awesome day. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.